Hello, and welcome to another episode of your support group podcast, home of the number one podcast that supports you at what you like to do. As always, I know it's been long awaited, but it's Kitty and it's Q.
What's up?
Now, Q, I know it's been a few weeks, so we got a lot to catch up on. We got rap beefs. We got everything. I mean, we even had like a shootout here where like some cops and stuff got killed. Just a lot of stuff.
Where?
In Charlotte. Yeah. So U.S. Marshals went to go serve a warrant and they started taking fire. So they called Charmek to come and assist. In the process, I believe it was a total of 5, I want to say. I got to really look at the news report, but it was a total of 5 officers of the law that got shot. It was 3 U.S. Marshals that got shot and 2 Charlotte police officers got shot. I know for sure 1 died because they just had the memorial for the Charmek officer that just died. So anybody driving through Charlotte right now and you think about doing something stupid, don't.
Yeah.
No, because when the president of the United States called down to your city to see how can he assist, he's on the phone call with the mayor to see how he can assist. I wouldn't do nothing stupid in that city for a while because it's going to be on fire. They're not playing. If they got to flinch, they're going to shoot.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's not too far away from where my in-laws stay. So I'm seeing videos and stuff like that of the actual house. And I was looking at it and I was like, dang, I drove past there once or twice, and I'm saying to myself, like, dude, that looked like an actual war zone. Like the whole front of the house literally is just about gone. But yeah, my heart goes out to the officers that lost their lives in the line of duty, as well as, the ones that are hit. I know it's a lot of people that really don't care, that say, oh, F12 or F the police, but at the end of the day, they're human beings doing their job. All police officers ain't bad. We've said that multiple times on this podcast. It is just a tragedy all the way around to even have to deal with it in the city, let alone people losing their lives. So
exactly.
Now, on to something much more lighter. The rap beefs. So who you got winning so far?
Somebody said Kendrick came out with something else after Drake dropped Family Matters, but I hadn't heard it yet. So right now I'm like, that Family Matters, I didn't even know Drake was that vicious. I really didn't. I was like, clutch my pearls right quick. Like, what in the world? But I'm going to say right now, because I haven't heard the other one from Kendrick, I'm going to say Drake.
To me, it was a slow burner to begin with. Then all of a sudden, it escalated really quick. Drake was able to get 2 off real quick. Like, bam, bam, In the midst of it, Rick Ross, marble floors, and no, that's not a diss record. Like, I don't count that one. You start talking about, like, as soon as I turned the song on, he started talking about marble floors. No, dude, like,
nah,
y'all don't have that substance. Like, we had subliminal disses and we had real disses growing up. The subliminal ones was, Kumo D with the Jeep sitting on top of the Kango hat.
Right. And then you had them hard ones, like, because I went back after you posted what you posted. I said, oh, and then I went back into Jay-Z's Takeover. I was like, okay, this is what I remember. Like rap beefs used to be like.
Right. Like, I got a little bit upset with the Drake diss, the first one he came out with. Not tailor-made, I believe. Drop and give me whatever. Drop and give me 50.
Give me 50
that was the first one.
Like that.
Yeah. So the first one I had a problem with the line that he said he just got a manicure. He don't want to mess up his nails. Like that was the line that stuck in my head. Like so we are we really hardcore nowadays like this? Like, are we really going to talk about a manicure in the middle of a this track, you know? And then it was like Rick Ross with the marble floors, and I'm like, man, y'all are killing me with this. Like, come on, man, stick to the script.
It's that.
And then Kendrick came out with, you know, his diss record, but I didn't like the fact that because I have, you know, mixed family members, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that and I'm not saying it to be a corn, but I didn't like the fact that he challenged the man on the state of how black he is because he's mixed, you know.
Yeah.
That's the only part that I had a problem with, you know.
Yeah, and I don't like that either because let's just put it out there. People don't have no control over that the fact that they're mixed. Their parents did that. And a lot of times, because I'm from New Orleans, we have a lot of people who we call passe blanc. The first mother-in-law, she looked like a white woman, but you
Right,
better not tell her she not black. And
right,
it's like, it, they couldn't go over there, so we had to, they grew up black. So to them,
right.
that's all they know. I mean, and that don't mean that they discount the other part, but we can't be over here calling people's blackness into question
That's
and
true.
then pulling them over when we want it, when it's convenient, and then pushing them to the side when we want to, say certain things. It's like, come on, let's stop all that.
Right. Like they're saying Drake can't say the N-word no more. Man, Fat Joe, he Puerto Rican, full-blooded, and he say the N-word on a regular
Cardi
basis.
B says it.
Cardi B says it. You know, I mean, if we going to attack somebody because they're 50-50, then this whole entire country needs to start attacking one another because most of us ain't all the way black. We just look it. We've got to
Right.
this point in our family is majority black, but we don't know how we originally started out.
Mm-mm.
So that's, you know, that's the thing that you got to put under question. You know, I know for a fact that somewhere in my bloodline that there's a great grandmother that was white. I know that. I can look at my mom. I can look at my pictures of my grandmother and tell, you know, on my mother's side that somebody was white. All
Mhm.
her sisters are very light. Somebody was white. Look at my mixed nephew. Somebody was white. You know what I'm saying? Because if it wasn't for the fact that he had curly hair and a little bit of a black lip, he could pass, you know? So those are the things that, you know, I picked out from the whole rap beef that I didn't like. That's why I made the comment on, you know, don't be a menace. I hate Whoopi Goldberg lips because they black. I hate my gun because it's black. That's why I made that comment. But other than that, I would say now Kendrick dropped some bars, but I heard a snippet of his new stuff and I felt like he was going after the man kids. I don't when I say kids, you know, he put a subliminal out there that Drake might have some other kids besides his son, but I I digress with that one. I really would say it's not a landslide, but I got Drake up a notch.
Yeah.
Besides that AI stuff, like I wasn't really feeling that AI stuff. I was like, dude, like why are you? But it was funny. It was funny to me because that's the type of stuff I like. You know, like some funny stuff. Like he had basically Tupac and Snoop this and Kendrick, you know, but it was AI and it was
Yeah.
hilarious to me. But it had to immediately get snatched down because Tupac Estate, which is not owned by nobody black, decided that it was not, they didn't
Right.
ask for permission to use Tupac's voice.
Yeah.
Shout out to the white man that owns Tupac's voice. Yeah.
I will say this too when it comes to these rap things. This is the parts that I don't like. You mentioned the part about calling people's blackness into question. That's one part I don't like. The other part is rejecting members of family that it's like, just leave other people alone. Just go at the person
Right.
for what they do. Like leave people mama, they daddy, their kids. Like leave them people out. They just over here minding their own business.
I
Why they
mean,
got
we grew up in the era where we talk about one another. You know, we crack jokes on one another. Or where you from, you call it Jones in or whatever you call it.
yeah.
But we crack jokes, like your mama's stupid that she can't put M&Ms in alphabetical order, or your mama's so fat she jumped up in the air and she got stuck. You know, we would say things like that as kids. So the mama and the papa part, that's fine. But when you start involving people, kids, like I said, I digress from that because that's something that can really set a person off. Like, you don't mess with nobody's kids. And Drake even said that in his latest one, because like I said, I was listening to the little snippets before I came on the cast. Both of their newest diss tracks, and he said, you know, Drake was like, keep the kids out of it, basically, because that's the one thing that shouldn't be touched. You can, I mean, you can defend yourself, mom and dad, they're grown. They ain't worrying about none of this stuff. But the babies, they still have to go through elementary school, high school, or whatever. And now you're in the diss track and everybody's laughing at you or picking with you because your daddy is losing the battle or winning the battle and something got said about you or whatever. But you have to deal with it, you know. So that's not something that you want to touch upon, especially nowadays with social media and everything like that. Like, rabbit punches come from everywhere.
Yeah.
Who hit me? Damn it. Where'd that come from? You know, on some Chris Tucker type stuff. But, and I'm glad J. Cole got up out of it. His diss track, I'm sorry. He sounded like somebody that was like, stop it. Stop. Stop. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. That's the way he sounded. Like, he sounded so unsure in his diss track. Like, you can hear him questioning himself when he said the bars. That's how.
It's like, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. If you ain't grown, stay on the porch. Just leave it alone.
It ain't for you. It ain't for you. Everything doesn't warrant a response, and he should have just not even did it. I'm not saying that it did anything to his credibility. Cole is Cole. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So he's got his own status of his own. He got his own lane. I don't know why, for some odd reason, when Kendrick said, F the big three, it's just Big Me, Cole decided that he was going to be the front runner to respond. And I'm like, okay, Cole got a diss song. And then in this song, he's like, I outsold you, huh? What? Did I outsell him? That's the way he sounded. Like, I outsold, what? Yeah. That's what I said. I said what I meant. Yeah. No, like, don't do it. Don't do it if it ain't for you. But that leads me to the word of the day. And the word of the day is pride. Yes, pride got these fools up out here dissing one another. Got people out here thinking that they can out rap one another. And at the end of the day, it's good for rap. But at the same time, I don't want to see it escalate.
Yeah. No.
You know, we went through the Tupac and Biggie era, the East Coast, West Coast era. You know, people on the street was basically fighting because, you know, they said Biggie or Tupac was better than the other, you know. So I don't want that pride to escalate and cause danger to the hip hop community. I feel like a lot of times, you know, with pride, we have a tendency to think that it demasculates us or takes away our established top part. And I'm just talking about hip hop version of pride. When somebody disses us, nah, what that should do, like Nas, that fueled Nas. You know what I'm saying? That grew him, you know, as a person, you know, brought him back to the forefront. Because when he dropped Ether, the album before that, or even before that, was what, Uchi Wally? You know what I'm saying? That wasn't the Nas that I knew. You know what I'm saying? He did it, yeah, you know, and before that, he was rapping about show me money or whatever with Genuine. So when he came back with Ether, that whole entire album, if you listen to it, that's a pumped up Nas, like, nah, this is my spot. And that's what I want to hear from rappers. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to this pride thing, you know, in the battle. I don't want to hear about y'all going to one another neighborhoods and doing something stupid.
It's like you can. I was watching the movie on Netflix. They did the thing about Roxanne Shante, and she used to battle with this other rapper. What was her name? And then she needed something, and the lady like gave her money because she was, down and out. She said, like,
Right.
we just do this for performance, like, but we cool. Like, if you need something, I got you. Like, let it be just a performance thing, and then for us to be entertained by, but don't be out here like taking each other lives and doing cheap shots and doing weird stuff. Like,
Right.
it's not that serious.
Right.
Sell your records, take care of your family, and move on. And then people also have to know, like, they are performers, they are entertainers. How do we not know that they can just be orchestrating this whole thing just to get us buying more records, go to more concerts? That could happen too. And don't take it so seriously, because a lot of times people want you to choose. I'm sorry. At the time, there was like, how if you like Cardi B, how could you like Nicki Minaj? Because I do. If you like Nicki Minaj, and how you gonna like Meg Thee Stallion? Because I do.
Right.
If you like Jay-Z, how you gonna like Nas? Because I do.
Right.
Because I do. And what's your
Right.
point?
Right. Right. Yeah, like even from where you from, they was like, how can you like No Limit but like Cash Money?
Because I do.
Yeah.
I have both of them on my phone.
Q said she about to back it up like a soldier to the 99 to the 2000.
And then we used to have this other group called, I don't know if you heard of Mystical. Well, you probably have. Shake Your
Come on.
Fast. And then there was this other group that wasn't as popular as him. It was called UNLV.
LV. Yep.
And they used to have their little things.
Yep.
And there was a good little back and forth. But I'm gonna go with my dude, Mystical. He was killing them. But when they came out with that one song when they were using his voice in the background, I was like, oh yeah.
When they called him
he even said he liked it.
When they called him a 304, when they was like Miss Cool,
Yes. That song. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, like, and this is just a little sidebar. I had the ability to be very immersed in different sounds and different coasts of hip hop, because when I was in Job Corps, it was a lot of people from, like the South, like Mississippi and, what I'm saying, Southern Georgia and Louisiana and Alabama. So I got to hear like the different sounds, what I'm saying? That's how I knew like No Limit was going to be like super huge, because it was like, oh, have you ever heard of TRU or, these different groups? So I was like, okay, well, I started listening to it. I was like, man, this is because me, what I'm saying? We talking about like the early 90s, like I'm listening to Wu-Tang still. So to me, these broken down Southern lyrics was like, man, what is this track? But over time, as I started listening to it, I started finding like key people like Skullduggery, Fiend, Mystical. And I'm like, and then I started like really like listening to C Murder and, different things like that, Pastor Troy. And this is before Pastor Troy got big, what I'm saying? I was like, wow, these dudes is like something different,
Yeah.
Dudes is hollering on the mic and all this crazy stuff. I was like, oh, this is something different, So when people start calling out this stuff, that's how I'm able to.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see. I think Meg Thee Stallion diss track was way better than everybody else's. That's just my opinion. The hiss was dope. She stuck to the bars, and she stuck. I'm just saying. Out of everybody's diss track, I'm like, wow, why ain't nobody mentioning Meg's diss track? I think it was way harder than everyone. And it don't get no play like everybody act like it never happened.
She's a woman.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take it as that. We'll take it as that. I don't see it as a woman. I just see it as Nicki being a way bigger artist than her and able to utilize her label to quiet down all the stuff.
Yeah,
it's
that
business.
could be it too.
It's business. Trust me. If your money long, like Tupac said, can't go to war if your money ain't long. So you ain't gonna get no airplay. You ain't gonna get heard. basically. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
So I think, during the time she just really got into Rock Nation. So give us some time. If Nikki come again I'm pretty sure she'll have a response. Amanda Seals.
And I actually like her, so be gentle.
So, and I'm just gonna pick parts of that interview out to go and then go into my point. First, when the interview started off, you could tell there was some tension, or it was like something was said when the cameras was off, because immediately she starts addressing things like that. Did you pick that vibe up?
Yeah, she was almost like apprehensive and on guard. And I feel like, this is just from my perspective, when a lot of things are said about you and people think you come across a certain way, you automatically, it's like you're a person just ready to pounce on something to defend yourself. And it might not even be that situation. So I feel like she was kind of like walking on like a pond kind of frozen, and she didn't know if it was all the way solid, and she was just like,
Right.
let me take
She
my
was trying to
time.
fill him out. She was really trying to fill him out. Like she said, this is a safe space, blah, 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 in the beginning of the interview. And I was like, she really trying to fill him out and make sure that this is what it is, so she can be her true self. Now, another thing that she said, and I'm just picking these small things out, and maybe nobody else heard this, and maybe nobody else paid attention, maybe nobody else felt this way, but she said her mom basically, let her be herself, like the other people in the family would be like, you're going to tell Amanda to sit down. And the other family members would be like, no, her mom would be like, no, I'm not going to, tell Amanda to sit down. Amanda's just Amanda. And I thought to myself, I said, so wow, her mom didn't discipline her for getting out of line. You know what I'm saying? Like acting up or being hyper. Now, hold on. Before anybody jump on this, when you fast forward in the interview, she said she corrected a teacher. So that tells me that because you didn't get your butt whooped at home, and no, I'm not trying to make judgment on what was going on at her home, because you didn't get your butt whooped at home, you didn't have the discipline enough that when you went out in the world to know that, respecting your elders is just a very simple thing. You can have the correction inside your head, but, I was always taught as a young person, as the younger, saying respect your elders, even if they're wrong, you can, do your correction inside your head, or you can walk away from the situation and leave it just be. You didn't pick up on that?
Up on it. And as she was talking, I could see the thing that she was talking about, that you know how in our community, especially Black community, Latino community, we can know something is different with our children, but we don't know what it is. It might not have had a name for it back then, or maybe it just wasn't. When she was just rattling off, I was like, yeah, something. She's on the spectrum. That but I've been around people who are on the spectrum, and I've seen that very intelligent. I'm not saying
Oh,
that. I'm
no.
just saying
No.
the rambling off and it was like, okay, Amanda, calm down, bring it back. But we grew up in the era where you didn't correct adults. And that's the thing that Shannon was trying to portray to her. And it was like, now I'm not trying to discount your experience. I'm just telling you from my standpoint is, they could be wrong. You just walk away and let them be wrong. And when they figure out they're wrong, they'll come. They might not never apologize.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, right?
No.
It's just the way it was. And that's the thing that we have to understand is like, another young lady broke it down. He was seeing it from his perspective. And then she was telling it from her perspective. And it's like, let's just understand each other, that I'm not trying to discount your experience, but I'm also telling you from my perspective that kids don't typically correct adults. Like, that is a big
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I picked up on that.
Yeah. I wasn't going to touch on that part just yet, what you spoke about, her being on the spectrum, but I might as well put my pieces together now to go into that. She said she was, tiny, little small thing going through high school. She had a growth spurt later on in high school, going into college, but she was tiny. I felt like she was always loud or rambunctious because she wasn't getting seen. Her mom, what I'm saying, I don't know for sure because she alluded that somebody married a white man. She didn't say whether it was her mom or her aunt, but she instantly corrected Shannon and said, no, I said my aunt. And I was like, I had to rewind that back because she didn't say who it was that married a white man and she was skiing and all this other stuff. I feel like she hung around with majority white kids starting out. But she wasn't getting seen, so she always had to stand out from the crowd. And I feel like towards the end of high school, she realized she was Black. I don't know who said something to her or what happened, but she realized she was Black. That was realization number one. When she went to college and she went through that the whole acting thing. What she call it? What's the name of it?
The repository school or something like that.
Yeah, the repository school. When she went through the repository, and then they pointed her out and said something that wasn't true about her. That was realization number two, that she was Black. Realization number three came when basically it was like, well, what you gonna do? Basically, like, hey, you gonna be a waitress, you gonna be this, you gonna be that, and she seen that window closed. I feel like at that time, majority of her white friends probably turned their backs on her or something of that nature. Then she went into Black studies, and she said this herself. When she started doing Black studies, that was the first time she learned about Black history. Now that's why I get all of that other stuff I said, because I felt like, I don't know if it's true, but majority of her life, she was not into that kind of stuff. Now I'm saying this from a perspective of a father with 3 daughters, because I have one who is not into Black history and all this other stuff. And she acts in the same path as Amanda. So that's why, I'm not calling my children out. I love my girl. I don't want nobody to think I'm calling my kids out. But I'm looking at Amanda and listening to everything she's saying, the way that she acts and the patterns. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, my daughter is the same way. She has all white friends and now she's doing things to get seen up out of seen in the crowd. And I'm like, hold on. But the difference is with me, I teach my kids Black history at home. You can go to college and learn Black history, but most of that stuff, the most simplest stuff, you're going to learn already at home. So that's where I feel like the kind of hypertension comes from. I don't really feel like she's, and I'm not saying this because I'm Black and no, we don't have, no, I feel like she has not, on that spectrum, but I feel like she has some unaddressed mental health issues.
Okay.
I do.
Definitely something going on. Which made it that she was seeing someone for the depression and anxiety and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know.
And
I'm kind of
I'm sorry to interject again, but another one of my key facts is the fact that she said that she had low self-esteem. And anytime you have low self-esteem, normally that involves somebody telling you that you don't belong or you don't fit into the crowd that you're trying to keep up with, or it's so many factors into low self-esteem. You may look in the mirror and see something that you don't like, so that's where I get my thoughts from.
Yeah. I mean, I can see like the way you explained it, I can see where you arrived at that. Just gonna kind of interject the fact that her mom is from Grenada, which is a very black island. And I'm just having a hard time understanding why her mom, or if her mom would not, you know, compass, like make her, like we black. I don't care how light your skin is, you use black.
Right.
Like I have a friend, she's Jamaican. You've seen Tiffany, or you've heard me talk about her. She's fair. She has a daughter that's even fairer than her, but
Right.
her stance in her house is black, blickety black, all the way black. We don't get no blacker than this. I
So
don't know,
black be
like,
blue in the inside.
right? It's like I don't know, like, but I am saying that can't happen because some people like to hide from the blackness because there are the black islands where people look like us, but they say they not black, and it's like,
Right.
what you mean is you're not African American, but your ass is definitely black.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, like, and I'm just throwing this in there. Jamaica is more diverse than you actually think of. When you think of black people and on the island,
Mhm,
majority of Jamaica is black, but
mhm.
also too you have Indian culture,
Yeah, Chinese,
um,
all of
right,
that.
Jewish culture. Jewish people
Mhm.
came there very early on, and you got the Chinaman. That's what they call him, Chinaman. Chinaman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and they can come up to you and speak patois and all that stuff, and you wouldn't know the difference until you turn around and actually looked at the color of their skin, you know. Um,
Mhm.
so I mean, you could get a little bit of diversity from Jamaica too, but like I tell people all the time, is what you look at that determines, unfortunately, your race. So
Yeah,
if your skin dark or darker than mine, then you black. So Indian people, yeah, you black too.
right. I met a guy who was Indian, but he was born in South Africa. He was darker than me, but he had this beautiful, wavy, dark hair. We were just having a good little conversation. This is when I worked at the DMV. So I met a lot of people from all over the world. Like I was finding
Mhm.
out about countries I had never even heard of. People was coming there to get the license. But yeah, I mean, black people exist everywhere, just like white people exist everywhere. We
Right,
everywhere.
right.
We everywhere.
Yeah. So the pride factor comes into the Amanda Seales interview with the fact that she had to be right. She had to be correct. Was she correct on all her statements? No. And I could tell it when the interview started getting awkward because for all her education, all her love for the black community, everything smart about her, she started using the N-word, like blatantly, like out of the blue. Like I was like, why? Why is she? Can I call you that? Whoa. you know, just straight up, and I was like, okay, it's she's feeling that low self-esteem, that pride, that she puts into her knowledge.
Mhm.
She feel like it's being tested. So now she's just gonna use the shock factor to kind of keep you quiet. I know
Yeah.
that because I'm a stage performer. I know how to give you the shock factor to keep the crowd into it. Like, oh,
N-word is just so, it's one of those things where I don't, if people say it, okay, it's not a regular word in my vocabulary. So for me, as dark as I am, and I grew up hood, drags in Jackson Avenue, Carterview, Woodson, right across the street from Magnolia Housing Projects, hood. I don't really like the word. I ain't gonna say I ain't never said it, but usually when I say it because you done piss me off. But it's not like a word that I use for people to say, oh my. Like I don't use a word like that. Like
I've been working on myself to not use it as much in my vocabulary. Very early on when I was younger, in the hood environment, yeah, I used it. Um, as I became more educated about it, one of my favorite comedians, I learned about him stop he stopped using that word. That's Richard Pryor. You know, early on in his career, he used that word a lot, but later on, he stopped using it because he started finding himself. He started learning, he started educating. Once you start educating yourself, I don't think it needs to be a term used. I mean, you can find something better, bruh, little buddy, cuz.
Bruh, dude, whatever. Dude, I like dude. When I was in the military, dude, that was the word. Dude.
Ninja, little nugget.
Little nuggets.
Yeah. So I mean,
Just say Negro because it just means black person.
yeah.
Negro.
Or I might say knee grow.
Negro.
You are some knee grows. That means you are below my knee. You need to grow up. I just gave you a
Period.
new word. Knee grows. Grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a
But
long one to watch. It was like,
it became
I think he
hard.
needs to figure
It
out a
became
way to
hard to
get these
watch.
things down to 90 minutes.
Yeah, well, I think advertisers kind of like the longer formats. I
Mm,
just don't see doing 3 hours with a person, especially one that was dodging answering questions. It got to a point where she'd be like, "You think?" And I'm like, just answer.
just answer the question.
That's why he started looking all around and was like, and Shannon, he loud. He loud. It's not that he was trying to cut her off from talking. He was just trying to get the answer to the question.
Yeah,
Understand how
that's the
interviews
thing.
work.
Viewers have to bring it back in. Like they can't just be there for an endless amount of time. So they feel like you're veering off. They have to kind of you back and move forward. Like we can't be here for 24 hours. I got other stuff to do.
Right. Right. And I felt like that interview could have been shorter if they wasn't rolling back to the same question or she was revigorating an answer that she should have had earlier. Like some of the
Yeah,
stuff was, okay, now she answered it 5 minutes later. All right, cool.
yeah.
Well, we could have did this 5 minutes ago. Why wait? And like I said, I just felt like in a sense with her low self-esteem or pride got challenged a little bit and she felt back then, and that's why she started reacting and doing things in the manner that she did. Pride is a very very dangerous thing. The male pride is a scary thing. Women, y'all just pride y'all hair, shave off all your heads, and and let's see what happened. Women think they're the most ugliest thing in the world. Be beautiful, lose your hair, lose your mind. Now I don't know if that's pride or that's self-esteem.
Could be a little bit of both because, a lot of things play into that factor. Society is like, oh, she had long, beautiful hair because then we associate the long, beautiful hair with being pretty and desirable. And then if you lose that, pretty and my desirability has diminished,
And what culture did that come from? Because is that black culture? Because you see the Africans. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm getting
Right.
at? They always told us we was ugly, yet Massa was in the shed trying to get some. You know,
And yeah.
so you got to be careful what you put your pride into. A lot of people put their pride into their car, their worth. Me and Tamika had a very deep conversation about how what we call rich and what others call rich. When we walk outside, if we can have $1 billion, walk outside with no jewelry on, regular smegular cars, a regular smegular house, and somebody in the black community, when we get into an argument, would say, "You broke bastard." or you broke woman. You ain't got no Coach bag. You ain't got none of this. You ain't got none of that. Meanwhile, Elon Musk walking around with some damn hush puppies on, some Levi jeans from 1991, and a T-shirt that read "I'm stupid" on it, and you say, "I want to follow everything he does. I want to go out and go buy me a Tesla." So, is your pride in your jewelry and your clothes, or what you look like, instead of what you need to take care of, what you need to maintain? I mean, you are who you are. You was born who you was born. You know, it's a sad thing that we put our pride, we put our worth, things that are meaningless. Not all of us, but a good majority. Like if I win $1 billion, I am not buying me no BMW. I'm buying me an Audi. But it's not pride.
I gotta have a boat. Lord, I need a boat.
Right. It's not pride. It's just what I want. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to flaunt it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to be that top person. Good morning, Tamika. Good morning. Hey to Q.
Hey, Carson.
Good morning. All righty. All righty.
Can say hi?
She heard you. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Daddy got to finish up now. It's not all day. I'm got to finish up now. We about to finish up. Okay.
She said. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, closing statements, Q, on pride, because I know you got the more deeper intellect than Mr. Williams here, because I can put it in layman form, but you are the poet, and you know it.
I would say pride will have you doing some foolish things. You have to be careful with pride, because it's good to be proud of yourself. It's good to be proud of things that you've accomplished. But it's not good to be so prideful that it becomes a crutch. For instance, you don't want to be so prideful that you are afraid to ask for help when you need it, that you are so prideful that you can't admit when you're wrong, when you can't self-aware, when you are doing things that are toxic in relationships. And that's just not with a romantic partner. That's in relationships, period. Be self-aware. Don't let your pride ruin relationships. Let your pride ruin opportunities, because that's what being so prideful can do to you. It can hinder you. Right. So be proud, but don't be full, is what I would say. Be proud of yourself, but don't let it get to a point where it's a crutch to you. It's a detriment.
Right.
That's all I can tell it.
Yep. And I'll say it like this. Be prideful, and, you know, like you said, what you do. Be prideful in your accomplishments. If you graduated high school this year, be prideful in that. If you graduated college this year, be prideful in that. But don't be prideful to the point that it blinds you to opportunities, learning new things, eating new foods, meeting new people, and so on and so on. And with that said, if nobody told you today that they love you, we do. If you haven't had the opportunity to check out our website, I suggest you do, www.ysgpodcast.com. Subscribe, share, go to TikTok, subscribe there, go to Instagram, subscribe there. Come on now. We're still here, and we're still here. Yeah. I didn't know what to rhyme with that, but I could have figured something out. Yep. And peace out.